Hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are connecting from today. I'm so grateful to uh, join with all the audience out there to speak about an important topic that exists in the system. So, this series of podcasts are created with the intention to bring a shift in the system. And the topic is about cognitive biases. So we have our very first guest, Lisa, joining with us today to explore one of the cognitive biases. And this is me, Anushly Sithamparam, your host, joining the conversation with Lisa. I'm a coach and a mentor coach and coach supervisor who really loves and cares about people and planet, and trying to do at least a tiny difference that I could to make this planet a little better than what it is. So let's invite our beautiful guest Lisa to the space. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, Anushly. Very nice to be with you on this podcast.
Right. Great. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, before we start the conversation, I think I also have to tell to the audience about how to take our thoughts that we're going to share here. So the thoughts that we're sharing here is based on our understanding, our experience that we have come across in our own journeys, can be as a human being, can be as a coach, or whichever the hat that we wear in our own lives. You may agree some of it, you may not agree, but that's okay because we are different.
Yeah.
And our only humble request to all the audience out there is pick whatever that resonates with you, that would serve you and your journey, so that you can go out there and take care of your own biases. All right? So, Lisa, I like to start this conversation with curiosity about how did Lisa become who she is right now and who she is right now?
Okay. Thank you for inviting me into the conversation, Anushly, and it's really lovely to be here. And yeah, I mean, I'm talking to a fellow coach who's in Sri Lanka, through the internet in 2022. And if you'd said to me, say, 5 years ago that I'd be doing this, I honestly would not have imagined that I would be. I am a coach. I help females in particular, emerging leaders in corporate, women who are very ambitious and want to really make a difference in the world, particularly in business, to own their voice and to enhance and excel their public speaking and presentation skills so that they can really become leaders within their chosen field of work, but particularly in corporate. How did I get there? So I've been a coach for 2 years. Prior to that, I was an actor for 14 years.
Wow.
A working, jobbing actor, mainly in theatre and a little bit of film. And I would call myself a public speaker, but I'm a bit more left field. So I don't have a corporate background. As well as being an actor, I've been a group exercise instructor for 16 years, which is also in the public speaking realm.
Yeah.
And those two long-standing professions have, alongside becoming a coach in 2020, they have really merged quite seamlessly for me to then be able to help
Hmm.
women who are in a very, very different environment
Okay.
to be themselves.
Right. Wonderful, Lisa. It's so inspiring to hear your story, like from an actor, moving into a coach. And I think sometimes that we all are actors in our own stories, in our
Yes,
lives.
yes,
It's not
definitely.
just only on the stage, but I think it's an art. Uh, it's a very just like coaching. I think acting is also something that a soulful art, or like
Oh, yeah.
like like you really connect yourself to the character that you're working with. And I'm sure that is a strength when an actor is becoming a coach, because you are able to connect soul to soul in your coaching conversation with your client, when you sit with them, just like how
Oh,
you are able to connect yourself to the character that you're representing in your acting. So I think it's like a wonderful evolving journey, and
it really
exciting.
is. Yeah, it's like when I became a coach, the irony is I thought I'd been working in the physical world for so many years as a physical coach,
Mm,
coaching people, motivating people,
yeah.
that I thought that the progression was from physical coach to, like a coach.
Mm,
Little did I know that actually, no, it was my acting journey that has seamlessly like supported my coaching journey for all the reasons you've said and many, many more.
mm,
And dancing in the moment as an actor with their scene partner and dancing in the moment with the client, where you're not meant to be predicting what's going to happen. And
yeah.
it's just like being in that present moment and having absolute presence. And, the greatest actors have that. And as a coach, that's what I always inspire to do, is to be very, very present with the client.
Mm, mm, mm. So tell me that uh, if somebody wants to like reach out to you, um, what could be a top three problems that you see that, okay, if you have these top three challenges, I think I might be the best person that you can go for.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say it's for a woman who's in the corporate world,
Mm,
and she's just starting out in corporate,
mm,
and so she's finding her feet
mm,
and needs to like give presentations and own her voice and be seen and heard in order to progress within the company.
mm,
But younger women, like say in their 20s,
mm,
then there's women who are coming back from work, so returners who've had babies and have lost their confidence, but
mm,
they want to go back to the role that they were in before, and it could be like middle management, senior management, but there's a knock in confidence.
mm,
So I can help them with that. And then the third one would be, and really this is the nuts and bolts of it, women who already have got rather senior positions in corporate,
mm,
in tech, and they want to be in boardrooms with men,
mm.
and they want to be at conferences, and they want to be speaking to a large number of people where they are leading the space on their own. I can help them with that through coaching and mentoring with public speaking and presenting.
Wonderful. Wonderful to hear that, Lisa. Um, so I think now audience know a lot, like enough about Lisa, like what is the background she's coming from,
Mm.
before we jump into today's topic, right? Because the experience that she's going to bring is from this space that she is right now. So today we thought about exploring the bias which is called fundamental attribution error. So for the audience who do not know or understand, what does it mean when you say fundamental attribution error? This is where we judge others on their personality or their fundamental character. But when it comes to the same situation, and if it happens to us, we judge ourselves on the situation and not on our character. So I'm saying that again. when we come across a situation, we judge others on their personality or their fundamental character. And if we come across the same situation, if I come across, I will be judging my situation than my character. So there is a bias between that, right? For an example, if you say, right, if somebody is late to the class, a class teacher might say, okay, she is late because she's lazy. But if the teacher itself late, the teacher is saying that I had a very bad rainy morning, there's a huge traffic, that's why I got late. So I think this example and description will give an idea to the audience. What does it mean? And my first question to our great speaker, Lisa, guest is, what is your experience around this bias, Lisa?
I feel that it's something, it's a pattern. Okay. It's a judgment that we all fall into. I certainly can say that I can fall into that. Judging a book by its cover is the infamous quote in regards to this bias. And then it's about, over the years, I've had to learn to recognize when I do that, and then pull back. But I think years of conditioning in society, of the culture that you're brought up in, of the media that we watch, you know, of these stock type characters that we see in our televisions and in our films, that when these people are brought to us in our real life, we then associate them with stock type / stereotypes, and then we will put that on them. And then as you mature and you kind of wise up, you realize, hold on a second, why am I excusing myself for doing something differently to what they've just done?
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So do you also notice this in your coaching practice, and where do you see it the most, like in your coaching practice?
I guess it'll be like the first session, because you don't know a person. And we are making judgments all the time. We judge ourselves and we judge others. And so we're trying to formulate these opinions about our clients. We're not meant to, but we're conditioned as humans that we're constantly observing and opinionating and forming ideas. So I think it's in the early stages of the coaching where one has to be very careful that that bias doesn't creep in. So for example, if I met my client for the first time and they told me that they were from a certain place, I'm not going to say anywhere, I don't know, a certain place, and then they turned up 10 minutes late, that I don't make that bias that, because they're from that place, they're late. Because in that culture, they're always late. It's that kind of thing that I must keep a check on. As a coach. I don't do that, you know?
So where have you seen that the clients having those biases? Like what you shared now was about as a coach, where there can be a possibility of having that bias. As a client, when you see, where do you see the pattern of clients having this bias? Like, you know, they might be talking about themselves and they're another stakeholder, that the part of the conversation.
Well, I often have conversations with people who are launching their own businesses. So they're a small business owner, female, you know, and they want to get out there and they want the confidence with the public speaking, and there can sometimes be a bias towards the people that they're going to need to get money off, working like corporate, they've got the big business, and then there's a kind of bias that those people in those jobs with those suits and ties are going to be a certain way. But my client, who actually wants the same thing, won't see themselves like that. So they kind of form biases around, I mean, there's biases around everything, but those are like some of the conversations that I have.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I'm also thinking about some of the clients that I have when I talk about this. Like, for an example, like they might say that she's doing because she's a bit bossy, she can get things done, and she knows how to get it done.
Yeah,
In my case, like I have a situation where I don't have a person to help. There's
yeah,
no one to take care of my kids, So, I mean, the other person might also be going through such situation, but the
mm-hmm.
judgment is about the bias is like characterizing that, like saying the
Yeah,
person is such, so they can get it done. But here I have a situation because of that I cannot get it done. So this is also, I think this can also happen on the other way also sometimes. I feel, Lisa, like for an example, you thinking that I'm not good enough, so I can't do this. And you tell the other person is wealthy, they have a situation where it supports their journey, so they can do it. So
yeah,
you blame your character or the trait, and you give credit to someone else's situation.
yeah.
Whereas you may not consider the situation that you live in.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Status seems to play a part in it, like low status and high status.
Mm,
Whether you subconsciously feel that somebody's lower status than you, you'll create a
mm,
judgment around that, or if they're higher status than you, like
mm,
say two people do the same amount of work, but one's like is wealthier than the other one, then the one that's less wealthy could say, well, of course they were going to do well because they have like so much support. It's that kind of thing.
mm,
Um, Whereas if you're like of the higher status and the wealthy person, you
mm,
might say, well, of course, and then the person with less influence, money, blah blah, wins the competition or gets the piece of work or the job promotion. They could say,
mm,
well, I did my work on merit, but of course they were going to get the promotion or the job because they're the underdog. So the underdog, of course. So
mm,
there's always this way of this bias. It seeps in no matter what demographic you're from.
mm, 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 mm. And where do you think this bias is coming from? What could be the unmet need?
Um, well, I mean, I believe that it always comes from oneself.
Yeah.
So, it's always from ourselves. Like if we judge others, we have a bias on somebody and we kind of like wrap them up in a very neat stereotype box.
Hmm.
We're trying to validate something within ourselves, you
Hmm.
know. So it's like if I say, for example, oh, she's always lazy, she's always late, but then I make excuses for myself, underneath that,
Hmm.
I know that actually I have an issue with being late.
Yes.
And it's easier for me to deflect it on somebody else and to put that issue onto them rather than deal with myself. I think that all the time. If anybody says anything about anybody,
Hmm.
it's nothing about that person. It's about the person that's saying it. And yeah.
That's true. That's very interesting. And I have seen in my coaching supervision sessions also where coaches do bring, because coaching supervision is a space again where coaches come and reflect their deeper self, their being, where they think sometimes that they don't have a bias with their client, but they do have a bias, and it's not only with clients, it's sometimes even with their, if they're co-coaching with another coach, we'll say in a team coaching setup, it can be even with a co-coach.
Mm,
They have a bias because of the diverse culture that they come from, or maybe
mm,
because even if you might have these things if you're an internal or an external coach working together,
mm,
you
mm,
know the external coach might think that she's able to get it done because she's she has more command inside the organization because she's internal, but I'm not able to get it done because I have a situation, where I'm
Yeah.
far away from this organization. But
Yeah.
I think that as we're exploring other biases, a lot of other reasons also could be part of it. But it's important to understand that when it comes to this specific bias, like what is the possible bias that I might be bringing as a coach when I'm sitting to work with another fellow coach or with my client? So that leads me to and a lot of beautiful things comes, and as you correctly said, it is also connected to you, what sort of conditioning that you have got used to. And we think that just because we go for a training program, we have a certificate, like we can, take over those conditioning or anything like that. But it is a journey. It is a process which we need to honor and give that time and space for us to slowly uncover it little by little. And though I'm still sitting here and talking, or you're sitting there and talking, we are also still evolving in this journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? It's just that we are better than where we were because we are in the journey of coaching, where we are trained to not to judge.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between you having a conversation with someone else versus having a conversation with the coach.
Yeah.
But then again, why you have a supervisor is because even the coach might, because we are human beings.
Of course.
We are not perfect, and we might have our own biases unknowingly.
Yeah.
And so just because somebody is supervising a coach, that doesn't mean supervisor is in a better place. Even a supervisor has a supervisor.
Yes.
For example, I have a supervisor. So the whole journey is like, it's a circular journey where we keep getting support from each other in this process so that we can slowly remove our layers of biases that we have in our journey. When we sit with ourselves, sit with our coaching clients or anybody else. So for the audience who are listening to us right now, Lisa, what are the possible suggestions that you like to offer them? What do you think they can do about it?
I think one reason why it just came up while you were speaking, I think one reason why we have this bias is because as humans, we tend to just stick with our own tribe. We tend to always be with the same people that match our values and our beliefs and our ideas. And the one thing about coaching, especially coaching globally and online, is that I've met a number of people that have got very different lifestyles to me, very different values, mainly due to culture. And to sit there, sometimes my mind is blown by some of the things they say to me about their life, and they probably think the same about me. So when I say that my mind is blown, it doesn't mean I'm judging. I'm just like, oh, wow, like you do that? Like that? Because I don't do my life like that.
Right.
So, but I love that. I was even having a conversation with my partner today about someone who I coach, and we coach each other, and our lives are completely different, but we still meet every week and take the judgment out of it, and it helps to meet people from different walks of life. I think would be a really good solution to this. If you only ever read the same newspaper, watch the same news channel, have the same group of friends, do everything that you do, it is a limitation on then how can you interact with people when they do something completely different to how you expect it. I think that's one solution.
Wonderful, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing that. So that is one solution, but you can do it on your own. And if you're an audience from UK who feels that, I'm sorry, still I can't do it on my own, maybe it's a good idea to sit with Lisa for a coaching session. You can reach out to her through her LinkedIn, and have a face-to-face conversation with her. She loves to have face-to-face coaching sessions. I think we all love to, with all the COVID and everything. I think, of course, in some area, the COVID is again picking up, but thankfully UK is in good shape. So you can reach out to her. She's an excellent coach. And if you're a coach who's listening, maybe you might need a coach. If not, and if you're a coach who is having this problem not in your usual spaces, but in your coaching practice, maybe sitting with a coaching supervisor can be the next option. But what you need to know end of the day is that there is a solution for it. We should stop running away from these biases. We should stop blaming that we have been conditioned because of these biases. And we should start looking for opportunities and possibilities to overcome these biases. Even though you can't do it overnight, I think definitely you can overcome it step by step with your baby steps.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for this wonderful space and your sharings. And as we said, we just shared our experience based on our journeys. And if it resonates, do pick it up. If it doesn't, it's okay. But the message is very clear. Take care of your own biases if you really want to make a better socially responsible community out there. Thank you.
Thank you.